Right. So does watching mean that's the number of people who were there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Hey, I think we have a few people joining. Cool. Hi, everybody. There's a few people. You can see the floodgates have opened now. People are joining. Welcome, everyone. We're just going to hold here for a minute or two to let some more people join. I'm Mark, the CEO of ScreenCloud, and this is Abner. You've probably all met us before in various forms. So just whilst we're waiting for a few more people coming in, I'd love to just see in the chat who's here, where you're calling in from today. I thought another fun question would be, what's your biggest digital signage nightmare? We've all had horror stories with digital signage, so I wonder if anyone's up for sharing what may have gone wrong in the past. I think one of my favorite RDM nightmare stories is I heard of a guy who's in the UK, who was IT guy based out of Edinburgh and was working in the oil industry. And there was a screen at one of the oil rigs up in Aberdeen, which is the north of Scotland. And he was doing all this phone support, and they said, "Look, the screen's broken, man, it's broken. You're going to have to come here." And so he drove what is about 300 miles up to basically put a cable, a loose HDMI cable back into a screen, brought the screen back to life and drove 300 miles down. I think that's my worst RDM story. We've got hi, Brian from Texas, Adam from Texas as well, Warren in Wisconsin, GH in Mexico, Charles in Tennessee, Miriam in Ireland. Hey, and over from Europe as well. Good to see you. Andrew from Massachusetts, and Keith from Orlando. Cool. Well, look, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. I'm sure more people are going to join in as well. But I think we'll kick off pretty shortly. Thanks so much for joining us, and let's get on with the show. Cool. So, as I said, my name is Mark McDermott. If I haven't met you before, I'm the CEO and co-founder of ScreenCloud. And Abner, introduce yourself as well.
Hi there, my name is Abner Olivieri, and I am a principal product manager for players and hardware here at ScreenCloud.
Amazing. Cool. So I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with ScreenCloud if you're on this webinar, but just to set the scene. So we are an emerging market leader in the cloud-based digital signage space. We're software through and through. We have 5 hubs across the world: in Asia, where Abner's calling in from today, Europe, where I'm calling in from, and in both coasts of the USA. We have over 130 people on the team and 10,000 customers. People use ScreenCloud for all sorts of different reasons, but on the enterprise side, people tend to use ScreenCloud most for screens that communicate. And by that, we mean screens that are employee-facing or student-facing. And this is an underserved part of the market, which we're trying to be the very best in. So my section is going to be more about the why, and then Abner is going to take you into a demonstration of our brand new Screens Manager product, which is taking some of the old products, putting them together, and also adding a load of new features. I just want to take a moment to explain what our vision is, so you understand the way we're thinking about things at ScreenCloud. So our vision for screens that communicate and remote device management, and how our progress is towards that. So to begin with, I want to zoom right out and just ask you a metaphorical question. What would a single digital communication channel accessible to your entire workforce mean for your organization? I think that digital signage is the only digital channel when, crucially, implemented effectively, can actually reach 100% of your workforce within a week. Now, most people inside of a workforce, especially if there's deskless or frontline workers, don't have access to a lot of the communication tools. So getting 100% reach is only really possible if it's seen in every single location that you have, assuming that you don't just have remote workers, right? So assuming people are going to be on site at least once a week and you've placed screens in a high traffic area, you can be pretty sure that your message will be delivered. And there's no real other digital channel that works like that. Now, we don't think that digital signage should replace other channels. They should help. But done effectively, this is what what our vision we have for customers. So this is the perfect world according to ScreenCloud. We know when we're working with customers that we're working with usually quite a centralized team, both on the IT side, but also on the communication, marketing, or operational side as well. We believe that you need one full stack solution that's enterprise grade and secure, infused with AI to help you run that massive network of screens across all of your locations. Now, we are particularly fond of the use case of communicating to deskless and frontline workers, particularly because screens are the only digital channel they'll likely see unless there's an employee app as well. And it actually makes the most sense in these environments. So we're talking logistics warehouses, manufacturing, but also the frontline workers out in retail, hospitality, healthcare, etc. But we know that no business is just purely made up of these types of workers. You all have your meeting rooms. And actually, ScreenCloud has just announced integrations with Microsoft Teams meeting rooms and Zoom rooms. So please talk to us if you want to know more about that. Supporting the meeting rooms, of course, is offices. That's where we're going to see lots of dashboards, employee engagement information, and corporate comms. And every single one of these environments will be supported by having break rooms and cafeterias where we'll need to put menu boards, as well as other information and employee recognition. So as you can see, this map starts to get quite wide. Now, every business also has a customer front end. In a corporate world, that may just be your lobby where people are joining, coming in for meetings and things like that, but also might be your retail space, grocery space, or anything else. Now, in order for you to run that entire screen network, you need a platform which is going to be very versatile in terms of content, but it's also going to have a lot of endpoints. And that's where RDM becomes so critical if you're going to do this completely and at scale. But this is really what we encounter when we go to most environments. I think almost every business is still using notice boards with bits of paper stuck on them, 20th century communication methods in a 21st century environment. There's actually a lot of problems here. 4 hours to print and replace, often outdated content. It's not exactly an engaging interface for Millennial and Gen Z. And this is reflected in low communication scores. When we get out in the field and we even go, this is me with my hard hat on with a customer, we also see that people on the ground are trying to communicate as well. They're using Post-it notes here to try and celebrate the wins of their colleagues, but often in very, very big environments, and this just doesn't scale out. In addition, we see health and safety campaigns where they've got pictures of their loved ones, their dogs, their cars, whatever it is to encourage people to work safely. But by sticking that on just one wall in a 3-mile square facility, it's just not going to cut through. Screens really need to be here to help push that message out wider and make it more digital. So when we ask ourselves, why have screens been digitally disappointing? There's no customer we work with who isn't already using screens in some way. They already have screens up on the walls, but it's not this completely ubiquitous channel that I was talking about in this perfect world. And we think there's really 3 main reasons why this has ultimately failed. Firstly, security. This comes up more and more these days. Screens typically are running outdated firmware. I heard recently of a customer running Android 4 when we're up to Android 14. And crucially, not only the outdated firmware, very outdated browsers. So if you want to do anything a bit more modern and web-based, you're going to be running it on browser technology from over a decade ago. Secondly, the digital signage industry has really come out of a retail use case. So in those retail stores, screens were just showing a playlist of images and videos, usually done by a brand agency, and they look amazing. But in these environments, we don't have a brand agency and we need to put out a lot more communication. So the functionality needs to be improved in order to make this effective. Now look out for a big announcement coming from us this summer about how we're going to improve that. But today we're focusing on RDM, and that's where the third problem comes in, reliability. We've seen screens black, error messages, cables plugged out, whatever that might be, not working well enough. RDM is really the frontline tool for IT to support the screen network. And typically that has also been quite a problem. In fact, it's such a big problem that on my LinkedIn, I do error message of the week, which is now becoming quite a big thing, where I just have photos that often people are giving me of public fail screens. This means that as IT professionals, we just don't trust this medium sufficiently, and we're being embarrassed on a daily basis. And frankly, it's not good enough as an industry, and we're here to try and solve that. With every customer we speak with, we know that the IT professional that we're working with is really more of a partner than a customer. The ultimate customer is actually probably the end user of the screen and the people who are using ScreenCloud and the screens to communicate in every day. But we stand shoulder to shoulder with IT because we know that you're frontline support for when these screens aren't working and keeping them going. For the NHS, we managed to save them 350 hours a year of on-call requests. And we do that by basically making this pledge. Firstly, that we will deliver a reliable cloud-connected network of screens with full remote device management capabilities. You're going to hear all about that today. Secondly, that it needs to be easy to install and easy to fix by non-IT people on the ground when you can't get one of your team out there. And it needs to run on affordable hardware. We don't have infinite CapEx budgets, but that affordable hardware needs to be fully compliant with our enterprise networks and our security policies. So I mentioned a full stack solution just now, and we have always started that right at the very bottom with our own players and hardware, as well as also delivering players for other common operating systems for screens. Most of you will probably be familiar with the Station P1 Pro, this product, running ScreenCloud OS, our custom Linux distribution. This has been actually the most popular device running ScreenCloud since we launched, and has been extremely popular with our enterprise customers. There's quite a few benefits to it. ScreenCloud's pre-installed, it's easy to deploy, we have really good remote device management, as you'll see more, and we support enterprise networks. We also keep this device up to date over the air. So we keep improving the device, sort of like maybe how a Tesla car might be working, where you're actually getting software updates and patches so the device doesn't stay static at the time it was made, but improves over time, and it crucially improves the web browser experience. That retails for $150. That may have to change when these tariffs kind of settle down, but we haven't changed the price yet. So get them while they're this price for sure. And we also have a new device coming this month, the Pixie, if you can see that, if it hasn't blurred it out. This is our brand new low-cost device, which we've brought out because the Amazon Fire Stick, which was super popular with ScreenCloud, has now not been fit for purpose after some changes Amazon made to their Fire OS operating system. This one's running Android 14. And as you can see, it's a really high-spec device for a very keen price point. And that price point still hasn't changed. So again, when this launches, I would try and grab a few of those because that is a really, really low price. It's brand new chip running Android 14, so the latest version of Android. It's fast and easy to deploy, and ScreenCloud is pre-installed, so you don't even have to go through the App Store. At the moment, we will have basic remote device management capabilities, but we will continually improve them over time. We don't support all enterprise network capabilities. Just like the Station P1 and ScreenCloud OS, the Pixie will be improved over the air, and so we will do regular releases, and provisioning is dead simple, just with a little remote control, just like it was with the Amazon Fire Stick. So just to show you a quick comparison chart, I'm not going to read all of this out, but do feel free to take a screenshot, or we'll also share this presentation with you afterwards. The key differences really between the two products, apart from the price point, is the build quality of the Station P1 Pro is definitely better. It's not, it's metal, it's fanless. We've got the rather than the plastic one. In addition to that, we do support the enterprise networks more on the Station P1 Pro, and the remote device management capabilities are a little bit stronger. So really, and likewise, Linux is a bit more secure as an operating system, and we've also stripped it back to be basically not to do less. So the less it does, the more secure it tends to be. That said, what I have found is that most enterprises are now quite open to having Android on their networks. So it's worth having a look. And I imagine a lot of customers will end up with a mixed real estate where some screens are not seen as as crucial, and other ones will probably invest more in that hardware. So let's really draw this now back to RDM, the key thing we're talking about today. It is a critical component of every digital signage network. We know that on average, a technician field visit costs the IT team around $800, and I bet you it can even go higher than them. It wastes a lot of time, a lot of money, and RDM done well saves needless in-person visits, so you can carry on with the really important job. We also know, because we are hearing this more and more, that your whole network needs to maintain compliance with your security policies. I think too long in the past, screens have been overlooked and let off the hook with regard to that, but now we're seeing that change. That means we need to keep this firmware up to date. We need to keep these browsers up to date and secure, not just for the experience, but also so that we're compliant, and that can really only be done with RDM. And finally, we also understand that as IT teams, you will not want to join us on that journey to a perfect world where screens are in every location or on every wall without any of those old paper notice boards anymore, unless you have trust. And if you trust that you can control that network properly and remotely, then you will help roll it out. If you don't have that trust, then there's absolutely no way that will happen. So we're very incentivized and aligned to make sure that happens. When we were designing our RDM platform, we had several core principles guiding us along the way. Firstly, that you are able to manage all your screens and all your devices from one single place, whether they're manufactured from ScreenCloud or elsewhere. We feel that taking RDM actions should be as easy as updating content. Just because this is primarily for an IT technical audience doesn't mean the UX should be poor. We want to make this as simple as possible, and we want to crucially not waste your time. RDM should also be included and built in to avoid any additional setup steps. Often RDM is seen as another piece of software to add. We feel that it's fundamental, otherwise we'll never have the building block to do fantastic digital signage. And also, we strongly feel that basic RDM features should be free to use for anyone and shouldn't be hidden behind an extra paywall or an extra layer of license fee. It's so important that everyone gets this right, that we want to make sure that at the very basic level, we're giving the fundamentals of what you need to run your network available to any ScreenCloud license payer. We've certainly been on a mission. This is not a brand new product. It's actually the merging of several products and the introduction of a couple of new features. And here's a quick timeline. For us, proper RDM really began back in January 2023 and flew through that year as we leveled up and got to parity with our other players. We took it to a new level last summer with the new look Screens Manager and added a whole range of new features. But really now in March, we've just released our United RDM product. And this is really the baseline for where we'll go in the future. And we're pretty proud of it. Abner's going to be showing you a lot more soon. Just to give you a sense of where we are today on those RDM features across platforms, obviously ScreenCloud OS is the most fully fledged that we have to date, introducing the HDMI CEC capabilities, which are available now. Pixie is a little bit further behind that. It's on parity with the other Android player, but will be getting HDMI CEC capabilities and further capabilities along the way. As you can see through the other ones, we're trying to get to parity as quickly as we can. Some are not capable of everything, such as on the web platform, because of the limitations of the protocol. But we will continually improve on those other platforms too, so you don't feel you only have to use our hardware in order to access and benefit from this product. All right, that's the end of me for now. I will be coming back in for the Q&A later. I'm going to hand over to Abner, who's going to take you on a deep dive of the product. Over to you, Abner, in Bangkok.
Thanks, Mark. So next, I wanted to talk about all the new RDM features that we've recently released, as well as what's coming next. So the first thing to note is that we've really simplified our RDM offering. Up to this point, we've had RDM features in both Studio and Screens Manager, but also our separate RDM console tool, which allowed you to manage your ScreenCloud OS devices and do more with them than you could do in the rest of the product. But we've made things a lot more simple now by bringing all the features for ScreenCloud OS devices that were in our RDM console, and we made them available in Studio and Screens Manager. So now all our RDM features are in one place, and this is a big step towards the vision that Mark had explained earlier, where we feel that having all these features in one place is really important. So let's look at the features we've brought over from our RDM console. There's device settings for changing things like time zones and host names for a device. There's network settings for managing your device's connectivity options. There's display settings for managing display settings or controlling the display your device is connected to via HDMI CEC. And there's other stuff like RDM status and health information. And besides all the RDM features we brought over from our RDM console, we've also made improvements to Screens Manager to make it even easier to manage all your screens and devices from one place. We've added tag support and additional filtering and improved search to make it easy to find the screens you want to manage and take RDM actions on. We've also added screen warnings to give you more information when the devices powering your screens need attention. And we've made it easy to customize Screens Manager and make it your own with column management. All right, so next up, here is a demo for a real-world look at these new RDM features. So right now I am in Screens Manager. You can access this by clicking the Screens Manager button in your screens list if you're looking at screens in a space in your ScreenCloud account. First, let's take a look at the new features that are specifically for ScreenCloud OS devices that we brought over from our RDM console. We'll use this screen here as an example, as it's powered by a ScreenCloud OS device. So this is the RDM pop-up, and it's available by clicking on a device's icon in Screens Manager or on a screens page in Studio. So this is accessible from both of those places and has all the same features in both places. So if you're an avid ScreenCloud user, you'll see that there's quite a few new things here. Besides seeing the online and offline status of ScreenCloud services, you can now also see the online and offline status for our RDM services. Then there's the new network section where you can view or change your network settings. So you can see a lot of information here about the network that this device is connected to. And I can click on Change Network here. And for example, if I want to change the Wi-Fi network for this device, I could click through. It would search for all the networks that are within range of this device. And then I could select a different one and connect to it. I can see my personal Wi-Fi hotspot here. And if I wanted, I could go in here and type in the password and go all the way through and connect to it. Even setting advanced network settings like custom DNS, NTP, and proxy settings. Cool. You can also view and update your display settings in the display output section. So in terms of display settings, I can see the display's resolution, refresh rate, and scaling. And I can even change the display settings if necessary. So for example, I could switch the resolution here to 1080p, set the refresh rate to 60 Hertz, and then make the scaling for larger text. If I click continue and confirm, it'll actually update that on the screen now. It's very fast. And once this refresh is done, you'll see in the bottom right here that it actually updated all those settings. I'm going to go ahead and change that back just to be accurate. Again, as I was noting, really, really quick. All done. You'll also note here that we have other features that are made possible via HDMI CEC. So I can turn the display that is connected to this device on or off. So for example, here, if I click off and confirm, it's going to take a little while. And once the data reloads, you're going to see that the screen will show as off. Also here in the middle, I can set the input source to be locked or unlocked. So basically what this is for is if my device is connected to this display and someone comes along with a remote and changes it to another input source, it would automatically switch back to the input source used by the device so that it's always showing digital signage content. Then in the settings section, you can also update other device settings like time zone or host name, or even the OS update channel from stable to canary so that you could test pre-release versions of ScreenCloud OS. There's also daily restart and trusted site certificates for advanced link content. And finally, there's a new health section which has health information about your device, like memory usage, storage usage, and even CPU temperatures. All right, next, let's take a look at the new features we've added to Screens Manager. We've improved search, so you can now search for a device using its properties like MAC address or IP address. So for example, I can search for all the screens whose devices start with this IP prefix. We've also added support for tags and additional filters. So I can sort screens by the tags that are set for that individual screen, or I could even filter by things like platform. So for example, view only my ScreenCloud OS devices. We've also made it easier to make Screens Manager your own with column management. So you can add or remove different columns and change the order of them as well. If you mainly want to manage content, you can choose content-related columns, or if you're an IT specialist, you can pick more technical columns. Now, I want to note that with all of these things, whether it's search, filters, or column management, we've just added a few things for now, but we really want to add a lot more properties and really allow you to customize Screens Manager by the things that are important to you. And we'd really love your feedback about which things are important to you. All right, so I'm going to switch back over to the slides now and talk a little bit about what's next. So what's next on our mission to making world-class RDM tools for digital signage? Well, we want to keep making improvements to Screens Manager and Studio and really making our RDM tools indispensable for our customers. Within the next 2 months, we'll have another update for Screens Manager and Studio. We'll be adding statistics, or what the industry calls single pane of glass, to give you an overview of your digital signage network. So for example, how many devices are online, how many are offline, which platforms you're using, etc. We'll also be working to improve usability, adding more customization and data. And we'll also add support for more bulk actions, as we truly believe that the ability to do things in bulk is what will make RDM much more powerful for our customers. We'll also keep on working to add more RDM features to the platform we support and add canary channel support to additional platforms as well. So that's just what's going to be coming in the next 2 months. But besides that, I wanted to talk about what's coming in the future after that as well. So one key concept we want to explore is the concept of RDM workflows. So we believe every RDM action you take is basically part of an RDM workflow. So even if it's as simple as taking an action on one device, it's still a workflow to do that action. But we want to take things a step further. Over time, we want to add support for bulk actions, automation, and reporting. And we believe once we do, we can make even more powerful RDM workflows. So for example, currently with our operating hours feature, you can turn your screens black when they aren't in use, which can save up to 30% on power for LED displays. But in the future with HDMI CEC, you'll be able to not just turn your screens black, but actually turn them off and back on again later, saving 100% on power. Now, if you take all of that and turn it into an RDM workflow, it will look something like this. With the click of a button, you'll be able to turn operating hours with HDMI CEC on, and then it will happen automatically every day via bulk actions and automation. And then in the end, you'll get reports about how much power you're saving and also how much money you're saving. So that's a little peek at RDM workflows. We want to build out the systems needed for this so that we can bring some amazing RDM features in the future. All right, so besides that, we wanted to say that we absolutely want your feedback. We want to know what features and what things are important to you when it comes to RDM. And we want you to help shape the future of our RDM offerings. You can tell us what RDM features you want to see in Screens Manager and Studio, or even go a bit further and explain the RDM workflows that you wish were possible. You can also schedule a call with a product manager. If you want to, please write down this short link or take a photo of these QR codes. That would be with me. So basically, that link will take you straight to my schedule, where you can put in a call with me. And also, if you want, please get in touch with our professional services team about your rollout and how you can use RDM to do more with your digital signage network.
I hope your calendar is going to be nice and full after this, but it's true. I mean, we don't just say it just because it seems like the right thing to do. We really mean it. And actually, a lot of customers I know that are on this webinar now have helped actually already shape our roadmap and help us improve RDM, especially around things like bulk updates and things like that, because you guys are really out there in the field using this all the time. And we don't necessarily know all of the pain you're feeling, and we want to feel that pain as well, so that we can build products that help you resolve it. Thanks very much, Abner. Great demo, really good. Abner did a live demo. We talked about making that a video earlier today, and Abner was like, don't worry, I'm going to do live demo. It's no problem. So good job, man. We've got some good comments in here, and I'm going to just go through a few of them and get Abner to help us with some of them. I know some of the comments were relating to ways we can make content more dynamic and do more integrations. We have a very big reveal coming this summer, which is going to be completely reshaping how we think digital signage content is going to be pushed to screen. But I'm going to save that for another day. So I'm going to annoyingly tease you a little bit there, but we'll keep it on the RDM subject for today. Adam has asked if there are any plans for expandable storage in the future for the P1 Pro.
Good question. We are actually working on micro SD card support at the moment. And that may be a way that you can expand your storage, although we're still in the technical weeds of it and finding it if it's possible. But I would say even better answer to that is that we are working on next generation ScreenCloud OS hardware that'll be more powerful and have better specs. And one of the things that will definitely go up is the storage space.
Well, this little Pixie that's just come out has actually got some pretty fantastic specs. So the P1 Pro was feeling a bit jealous, and so we're going to make sure that the next generation is. Yeah,
the Pixie has 64 gigabytes of storage, and right now the ScreenCloud OS device only has 32. But I mean,
honestly, it's an incredible little thing. We love this little thing, but it's coming soon. So do check that out. Adam also actually followed up saying, is there any chance the OS version would be added as a column? Can we do that as a customizable column? Is that possible? Or is that one of the ones we're going to add? Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah. So this is exactly the sort of feedback we want. We want to know what columns you want to see and what's important to you. I see a future in which basically every property that is consistent across multiple platforms is available as a column. And I think in the future, we'll probably have hundreds of customizations in that column management. But yeah, we want to know which ones are important so that we can add those first.
Cool. Andrew was asking a question. It's probably more about display settings, about notice that a channel schedule is it has to match up on the device or it doesn't line up. I think how I'm interpreting that question is that the device settings and the channel layout need to basically flow together in order not to get black bars and things like that. Do correct me if I'm wrong in how that interprets. We actually, again, have a new way of thinking about how content is outputted. We have a layout builder, we call it internally Bob the Builder, that actually allows for more fluid control of content. That's actually going to get covered again more in the release over the summer. But let me know if I misinterpreted that one, because I may well have. There's a really good question here from Julio. Is there any way to see all my screens from different spaces without changing? I believe in Screens Manager, if you have permissions, you can see every screen in your account, if that's correct, if you have the right permissions.
That is correct, yes. So Screens Manager is the place for that. We want to make the permissions management around Studio and Screens Manager to work together better. The team's working on that right now. But basically, as it stands, if you're like an admin, you can see all of your screens.
I suppose actually something, if you don't necessarily have the right permissions, we might need to make it clear that, like, if you're looking for certain screens that you might not see them. So we might need to make that clearer on the UI. But what we tend to find is most of the IT admins who are going to be using Screens Manager probably have a global login anyway, where they can actually dive into each space. And that was kind of one of the reasons for not trying to do this inside of Studio, to separate it, because we recognize that an IT admin probably needs to have a view across the whole network. And it's also why we've invested a lot of time in making the search quite powerful. I know Abner mentioned that in the demo, but it might be worth going in there, is to try and make search as granular as possible. Is that right? So that's to aid the bulk actions to come.
Yes, yes.
Cool. Sorry, I answered your question for you. I should have left it more open today. Adam's also asked us about is CEC coming out of Canary soon? I believe that's rolling out right now, isn't it?
Very good question. So unfortunately, we had to pause our ScreenCloud OS 3.0 rollout at the beginning of this year, I believe, just because we want to be as safe as possible for our customers. But the good news is that we are restarting the rollout of ScreenCloud OS 3.0.14, which is actually the version that's been on Canary all this time, very soon. So all of these features, HDMI CEC features, and other features that you're seeing here are going to be available on your device within the next few weeks. We'll have more information about that on Monday.
Yeah. So keep your eyes. There's never a quiet week at ScreenCloud. There's always a release somewhere going on, new product release. We're not hanging around. Salim here has asked, it would be great to get a live view content, a small picture that shows exactly what's shown on screen. I think we sort of have that capability on the screenshot system, but might be worth maybe us making that more obvious, or even just doing automated screenshots. What do you think, Abra?
I actually will go ahead and show you that in action. So in Screens Manager here, if I'm looking at a screen, I can see now what's playing. So with the Now Playing tab, this shows the content that I've set in ScreenCloud. And then for Screenshot, this is more proof of play, where it will actually take a screenshot to confirm if that is indeed what's on screen. But yes, I also believe, to your point, probably in terms of UI, we should make this a little bit better. And one of the first things that you see in the pop-up is actually a look at your screen as well.
But actually, on that point, we want to make sure that the UI is really fast and responsive, and that's actually one of the big updates. It's not necessarily a new feature, but we've done a lot of optimization on the front end so that the UI is more responsive to doing quick searches and things like that as well, haven't we?
Yes.
Cool. Julio was mentioning it'd be nice to have that dashboard. I think that's that single pane of glass that you were talking about. Maybe give a bit more color to that one. Like how are we thinking about that single pane of glass and how that will look?
So right now, when you go to the landing page of Screens Manager, it's just a list of screens. And that is a view that many of our customers will want to still be able to have. But we want the first view to be statistics about your whole fleet of devices, and then also a list. And then you can hide the statistics away as well if you want to. But yeah, our goal with that as well is also to add some initial statistics and then make it better over time and add more and more, and also make it customizable.
Cool. Charles has asked, one of our diagrams showed that the Chrome OS supports screenshots. How do you take a screenshot through RDM for Chrome OS devices?
So actually, to be perfectly honest, I might have made a mistake there. And
Charles is sharp today.
That's right. Yes. So basically, the way screenshots work is it actually takes a screenshot of what is displaying at the base level. So at the web engine level, and that works on most of our platforms. But I think on Chrome OS it might not. Chrome OS itself, though, does have a screenshot tool in its Chrome Enterprise Tools area. So that's what we actually recommend for customers to use.
Oh, good catch, Charles. Good catch. I think you've ScreenCloud customers know what they're talking about. That's why we've got to stay on our toes. With some feedback on some of the apps, so I'm just going to keep going for anything RDM related. Is there a housekeeping tool to clear down all expired content from the device to save storage?
So right now, what we have is a clear cache option. This is a little bit more focused on troubleshooting and security. So it's not exactly connected to expired content, but we are working to improve our media cache system and make it much more advanced. And I believe these sort of features will be coming with that. So we'll be doing things like downloading content in bulks for certain types of content like video, and also changing the way that expired content would save.
That's probably a feature we'd probably more do at the player level, wouldn't it? It'd be like an intelligent media cache system, because the player is going to know what the schedule is. And I guess the player would then be aware, well, we haven't actually accessed this content for, say, a period of time. We could set the rule, say like 30 days or whatever. So yeah, I think that's probably, but doing intelligent predictive media caching to save storage space, I think is a really smart idea. Yep. Andrew's picked up a highlight, like getting time zones right on the player and on where you are is a tricky thing. We actually had an issue recently where like around daylight savings changes as well. So there's getting the time zones exactly right between the player and the platform is actually a root cause of a lot of scheduling issues. And again, something we're going to try and make even more simple.
I can add to that as well and say that
please.
there are different things in the product where, for example, time zone, there's a device time zone, and then also a screen time zone, and other things like a device resolution and then a resolution set for a channel. And we do know that we need to make this a little bit easier to understand, and because it can be confusing.
Wayne's asked if we're able to send devices to the US. Yeah, absolutely. Despite the accents, we actually have most of our customers in the US. So what we do is we manufacture these products in China. We then go to our 3PL, our third-party logistics provider, and we have warehouses in the US, in the UK, and we're also looking in the EU as well. And then basically from there's a distributed in North America, they're all distributed within North America. And then in Europe at the moment, they're distributed from the UK, but they'll probably be from the EU as well soon. So yeah, we can pretty much get these devices everywhere. Some countries are harder to get into than others, but of our main countries, our top 10 countries, which accounts for about 96% of all of ScreenCloud, it's no problem at all and should be with you pretty quickly. Yeah, they've got this smaller, cheaper device. Like we want to make sure that like the Fire Stick is really no longer usable. I'm not sure if you all kind of realize that, but the Fire Stick, with the Amazon changes, you can't do it. And there's a big gap in the market for a cheaper device. So the Pixie's there to fill it. It will be getting launched at the end of March. We're just finalizing our first run of devices. And we're really excited about that. And obviously that all feeds back into RDM. Yeah, so let's look in here. Charles got another question here. I'd recommend adding a column of simple notes that we can add to the devices. He manages 100 and currently some are down for maintenance. It'd be great to add some personal notes as well. Actually, I think that was something we talked about in the past. Is that on the roadmap as well, Abner?
So we already have notes for screens. They currently reside in the screens page. But yeah, it would be great to surface that in Screens Manager and in as a column as well. So we can definitely look into that. Thank you for the feedback.
I think the idea is that most of the IT professionals will probably be hanging out mostly in RDM in the future, and really this is going to be their world. And actually, we'll probably see Studio, like in the evolution of that, being more of a creator's world. And then we want them obviously seamlessly integrated together. But we know that the wants and needs from both of these audiences are quite different, and that's kind of where we're going with that. If you've got Fire Sticks right now, they won't stop working. If they're working fine now, they'll continue to work. It's the newer versions of Amazon Fire that are no longer appropriate. But in addition to that, a lot of customers are actually running really old Fire Sticks. We actually have Fire Sticks on the network still running from 2016, 17, and 18, which is kind of amazing they're still going. But we know that the performance of those devices is going to be problematic, and we're pushing digital signage harder. So we need to have an upgrade path for customers. Now, if you like the Fire Stick, you can't upgrade to the new version because they've basically made it impossible for digital signage. The issue is that if the Fire Stick restarts, it will go to an Amazon page and not back to the app. And that's the setting that they've changed, which has killed it. But that's why this is here. Amazon do also have their own business version as well. It's called the Amazon Signage Stick, which also retails for about $100 and is a good device. But the Pixie will be cheaper than that. So you've still got choices there as well. So, yeah, look, thank you very much, everyone. I'm just trying to see if I caught any of these other ones. Keep an eye out for all of these updates. And really, really thank you so much for the questions that you've been sending in. Just know that we take this stuff really seriously. Abner and the team have done an amazing job so far to get us where we are today, but we're not resting on our laurels. We've got a long way to go. Abner, I'll leave the final word with you. You were asking for feedback. We really mean it, but like maybe from you, they'll really understand.
No, I think like exactly the sort of things that are being said in the question area here. Just tell us the things that you want to see, right? The things that'll make your life a little bit easier. And to put it very simply, if you give your feedback, your feature will probably be first. because
we do have a left table as well. But also Abner will have, here's a Venmo, you can give him a bribe.
No, but basically, like, we're always looking for ideas, and as we work in releases, we try to add as many improvements as we can to each release cycle. And if you get your feedback in, hopefully we can add yours. If it's not something that is technical, very technical, and requires a lot of sort of foundational level stuff. So.
Exactly. A few people asked if the recording will be shared. We will be sharing this recording out, hopefully with slides as well, to everyone that registered and everyone that watched, so you can come back to it. But that brings us bang up on time. So look, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Thank you for being a ScreenCloud customer or potentially becoming one. And we look forward to having more interactions with you very soon. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.